lines, those lines will not have enough ground clearances. What we are now doing is that we are remedying the lines only that is required over for the quantity that is required over the next 10 years. We are not remedying further than that one, and thereby postponing this additional investment for 10 years. What has progressed? Beryl capacitors. The voltage issues at Beryl will be resolved, and we are in the process of designing 18 megawatt capacitor bank at Beryl. That will be completed by end of 2016. We are in the process of installing dynamic line rating. That is worthy of a couple of mentions, because as you are aware, our line ratings depends on the environmental conditions. When there is a good wind, we can have high line rating. At the same time, the wind farm needs to transfer a lot of energy it's all generating. So what we are planning is that we are planning to have dynamic line rating installed on 30 lines, thereby increasing the capacity available in the system. It's a low cost investment done under the NICIPAP projects, and they are all in design phase, and we are planning to install these ones on at least 4 lines by the end of the year. Half of the 30 lines will be done by June next year and completed end of next year. Armadale static work compensator, it was an aging asset and it required a new control system. So the factor testing for that new control system has been completed, and it is in the process of installing and be commissioned by end of the year. Not only we get a good new control system, we are hoping that the new control system will also help us to improve the stability, especially dynamic stability on the Queensland New South Wales interconnector. Line remediation work I already mentioned. What has been completed, as you may probably be aware, and we have been discussed this one in the previous forums. We were planning to build, we were building an important point for the southern supply network in the Rockwood Road, and that gas insulated substation has been completed, and the load is being transferred into the substation now. Similar to Armadale SVC, Broken Hill work compensator was about 30 years old, and that has been replaced as well, and hoping that that will give the extension of life for another 20 to 25 years. What has been postponed? I talked about the Tamworth Gunda phase shifting transformer, and Peter talked about the Power in Sydney project. The demand has gone down, and therefore the need for putting a new cable into the city has been postponed from 2018 to 2023. Multiple contingent protection scheme, that is to safeguard the system security under a high impact low probability event, something like a forest fire. At the moment, our safeguard is tripping off approximately 60 megawatt load all over the state. What we were expecting under this scheme was to be selective in how much load we need to shed in anticipation of a high impact low probability event like a forest fire. But this project was going to cost us about 9 million, and since we already have a safety net, we thought it is not the urgent project to do. What has been planned? One of the major items or major projects we have been planning is that a second supply point to Canberra for ACT. Our license conditions, under our license condition for ACT government required us to create a supply point to Canberra or the ACT, the parliament or the centre of government, independent of Canberra substation. That is in anticipation of a total failure of the existing Canberra substation during a high impact low probability event, like a storm, like a forest fire, like a terrorist disturbance. So this is being planned and likely to be in place in 2020, and still this in planning stage, and I think the development planning is in progress. The other two projects we are planning are cost-efficient renewable hub, as Peter pointed out, at the northern part of the state. It is going to be between north of Armidale and connected to 330 kV lines. We are having interest about 700 to 850 megawatts of generation in that area. What we are hoping that by connecting all that generation in one place, we can have scale of economies. Not only that, by connecting that amount of generation to the area, we would also able to increase the amount of the transfer limits between New South Wales and Queensland. Similarly, as we have indicated in our revenue proposal, we are also thinking of having a transmission capacity upgrade in the southern part of the state if there is new renewable generation to be built up in that area. I think that's sort of my last slide.
Okay, thank you, Nalin. We'll just keep you here for a moment and open it up for Q&A with Nalin. Any questions? Floor here. If I can get you to please state your name and the organisation you represent.
Mike Duro from the Warren Centre. Nalin, two questions. One, firstly, you hinted about domestic terrorism. What has TransGrid been doing to prepare for an event if that was a possibility? And secondly, in what form would the increase in transmission from the Snowy take? New substations or increasing the transmission lines?
Right. I think there are two questions in that one, Michael. And so the first question to answer probably is that we have been taking fair amount of security upgrades in our around substations. I think Gerard might able to, or Andrew might able to elaborate that one after their presentation on that one. In relation to the supply upgrade from southern part, it is mostly what we are thinking is that increase in the operating temperature of the conductors, or the increase in the capacity coming from increasing the capacity of the existing lines coming from southern part to New South Wales between Canberra and Sydney. And also other one is that we might even divert some of the power into the preferred path, the path where we have surplus capacity by using phase shifting transformers.